The Bostonian is Matt Perrault.
This is our city.
The book is Dave Sharapan.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Together, they are The Bostonian versus The Book.
You covered! You covered 12! Covered!
Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus The Book.
How do you like them apples?
Bringing you the best insight on sports betting news, Matt and Dave's daily picks, and an entertaining and unfiltered dive into the sports betting industry. Here's Dave Sharapan and Matt Perrault.
And here we go.
What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into what's going to be a really fun Tuesday episode of the Bostonian versus the Book. He is Dave Sharapan. I am Matt Perrault. We are live on our YouTube channel at Boston versus the Book. The same on Twitter, X, replayed on Sports Grid Television nationally and on Sirius XM channel 159. You late night owls, thank you for watching. You are going to be in for a treat. Dave, we normally talk for a bit before the guests come in, but one, how are you? Two, I'm really excited.
Yeah, I know. And, you know, we can't change the whole show just because we got guests on and stuff like that. But we are kind of changing the whole show. For those of you that normally know, we're after 11-ish. We jumped the gun a little bit early because we got a special guest right at the top of the show. And I put it out on Twitter just now that the show's live. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel as well. But there is no chance that you could spell on the first try either one of our basketball guests today, that you could spell their names.
Me or them?
You.
I could. Oh, no, I could.
No,
No.
your spelling stinks too.
No. I could.
You could spell?
Dave, because my favorite story of all time is the fact that Kansas basketball players tried to spell Ali Farouk Manesh before you and I went out and beat him and knocked out the number one seed overall 15 years ago, mind you. Ali and I are both getting kind of old. That was 15 years ago, if you could believe that actually happened. But I mean, that's the shot. I mean, there it is. That's the Northern Iowa. That is my angle. That's the exact angle. It's courtside in Oklahoma City. That's the angle. And I'm trying really hard to make a comparison to this year. I'm trying really hard to say that the Creighton Blue Jays are going to be the Northern Iowa of 2010. I'm trying hard.
So hard. It looks so chalky.
Because one, Ben Jacobson and Greg McDermott are best friends. Northern Iowa was a 9 seed. Northern Iowa knocked out an 8 seed, like Creighton will play with Louisville. And then they knocked out the number 1 seed overall in the tournament, which then was Kansas. And now it's Auburn. So I'm trying to connect the dots to get the Creighton Blue Jays to the Sweet 16.
I don't even know what you just did there. I have no idea what you just did.
We're combining. We're trying to combine things. Should we bring him on? He is
he's getting ready to go to the gym. We got to get him before he gets to the gym.
He's in the gym. The associate head coach. He was elevated in May of this year to the associate head coaching position at Colorado State. They will play Memphis in the 12-5 game. This team is red hot. They've won 10 games in a row. A lot of people are talking about the Rams, and rightfully so. Ali Farouk Manesh joining us here from, where are you, Ali? Good to see you. Thank you for coming on. Are you in the basketball facility? Where are you right now?
I am in Moby Arena right now, getting ready to actually start working out Neat Clifford here before practice gets going. So we're getting ready, getting prepared for Memphis right now, and then we fly out tomorrow to head to Seattle.
How big of a trip is that for you guys? I mean, like you know, things have been rolling, and you just were here in Mountain West and all that. Like, so you go back. Do you unpack the bags? Oh, yeah. I mean, like you're home for a couple of days and then boom, you guys, you pack for 2 days, right? Or you pack for the whole weekend?
We pack for the whole weekend because I've made that mistake of not bringing enough underwear before, so I'm not going to do that again. So yeah, pack for the whole weekend. And obviously last time in the Mountain West tournament, we were out there from Tuesday to Saturday. So that was a long time in Vegas. Like 3 days is usually the max, but we made a couple extra days out of it. So yeah, we came back. Honestly, this year felt a lot more relaxing than last year because last year we got.
Oh no! He got an alert. He got a text. He'll be back in 1 second. Stay patient. Come on back, Ollie. Come on. Oh no. Farouk Manesh F-A-R-O-K-H. That H throws
H
you
is
off.
what gets everybody. The H
The
is what
H
gets
throws
everybody.
off. M-A-N.
There he is.
There we go. I'm back again.
Yes.
Text messages come through all the time on phone. I forgot to tell you that. That's on me. I forgot to tell you that the notifications will come up and knock you out.
So you were saying this was more relaxed than last year. Why?
So last year we were in Dayton, so we were in the first four, and we had no idea. We thought we were shoe-in, good to go. Like we were top 35 in the everything category, so we think we're good to go. And then we literally find out we got to Selection Sunday that morning on Sunday, went through Selection Sunday, found out we're playing in Dayton versus Virginia. I go home, literally do laundry that night and pack that night for my whole family. I got 4 kids too, so 6 of us. And I'm lying. I did not do the packing. That was my wife. But we literally, so then the next day we're on a plane already to Dayton the next morning. So it was a whirlwind last year. Like I don't even remember what happened. It was like we just show up for the game, play Virginia, boom, we're on the next flight to go to Charlotte at 3 a.m, get to Charlotte at 3 a.m. on that Wednesday morning, play Thursday against Texas.
Yeah.
And so this year's like, I'm gonna be honest, this is so relaxing right now. Like I got home, did laundry, relaxed, started watching film, have another day on Monday, have another day today. So it's been it's a lot different than last year.
Well, you guys have an opponent in Memphis that has tremendous athletic ability, but they could be down not 1 but 2 point guards. How difficult is it to prepare for a team where you're not exactly sure what lineup they're going to have available for the biggest game of the year?
Yeah, I'm not falling for the Rick Pitino. We're gonna assume he's playing. And I think Tyrese Hunter's a hell of a basketball player. We played him last year when he was at Texas. I know him from Iowa State, and a bunch of my friends are the coaches there now. So we know who Tyrese Hunter is, and we know what he's capable of. But it ain't like they don't got some other dudes on that team too. I mean, Dane Danger is a problem. And then you go to PJ Haggerty. He's one of the best scorers in the country. I mean, elite at getting fouled and getting to the rim. So we got our handful, no matter how many guys they have in or out. Like they got a great basketball team. And I think this is one of Penny's best teams in terms of their ability to share the ball. And they seem the most connected group that he's had since he's been there. And there's a reason why they only lost 5 games this entire season.
Oddsmakers have installed you guys as a 2.5 point favorite initially, but how annoying is it for you to have to constantly defend the Mountain West? Because everybody just likes to take shots like, oh, Mountain West can't play in the tournament. The Mountain West teams, they go each other. Is it annoying for you guys? Do you guys hear that noise?
Yeah, it gets that way sometimes. And I think it's just, I think you look at the number of teams that we've gotten in recently, and it's been amazing. And the league's amazing. It's a fun league to be a part of. It's a basketball league. It's like the Big East of the West Coast, to be honest, in terms of basketball. But it's annoying in the sense that, okay, if you look at the last year, the 6 teams that got in, who was actually favored in their first round games? There's only 2.
Right.
Utah State wasn't. I don't even know if Utah State was favored against TCU. But if you think about it, San Diego State obviously gets their 2 wins. They make it to the Sweet 16 again, and they were favored in theirs. They were the only team that was favored in their games. Utah State, I don't know if they were favored, but they beat TCU. Obviously, they were not favored against Purdue in the second round. I don't think we were favored initially against Virginia in that first round game either, and we beat Virginia.
Yep.
Everyone else was not favored in their games. So if you go by chalk, like we weren't supposed to win those games anyways. And now you look at what we have this year, like we're all the lower seeds. Like I don't think I know we're a 2.5 point favorite or whatnot. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like we're the 12 seed and they're the 5 seed. So I don't know how you can expect us to make all these deep runs when we're not seeded to make deep runs either.
Dave asked you about noise, so I will ask you this question. Your head coach, Nico Medved, is being rumored to be up for other jobs. As a coaching staff, how do you guys handle it? Do you embrace it? Do you talk to the kids about it? Or do you ignore it and say, hey, we're here to play basketball. We'll worry about those things in the off season?
I think we've stuck to the so cliche to say that, but we really have stuck to the process the whole year. And I think that's the biggest thing. When you're 5-5, you can't really be thinking about the NCAA tournament or if Nico's going to be up for another job, possibly. You're thinking about, like, can we get to 6-5? And that's been our mindset the whole season. And I give our guys a ton of credit. We haven't changed that. And that's stayed that way the whole year. Even when we got ready for the conference tournament and you're 16-4 in league and finished second in the league alone, we didn't think about, hey, we got to win 3 games to make the NCAA tournament. we thought, man, we got to beat Nevada or Fresno State in that first round game, and then we'll go from there. And so I give our guys a ton of credit, and Nico. Like, he's held us in check to stick with the process of how we go about our business. And honestly, it's like what in this business and coaching, you're either there we go. My back. All right.
Yeah, you're back. Good.
I'm blowing up today.
Of course you are.
But you're either one or two spots as a coach. You're either people are talking about you getting fired, or they're talking about you getting a job. There's no in between. So I'd rather be in the latter.
It's so hard. You're talking about the process. What's the process for this weekend? Like, how much further past the first game do you guys look and stuff in preparation? Or is it literally, let's just go beat Memphis, we'll get to Seattle, and then we'll figure out what we have to do for the weekend? Do you look ahead at all, Ollie?
Oh, do you hear us?
Shoot, guys, I can't hear you now.
Can you hear us?
How about now? Can you hear us? No? Nothing?
No?
Go back out and come back in.
Yeah, can you hear us?
He can't hear us anymore.
Let me text him.
I'll
text him.
All right. How about now? Jeez.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. I got you now.
All right, you're
okay,
back.
yeah,
Perfect.
all
All
right.
right, good. All right. So the question was this. You were just talking about the process and sticking to the process. What's the process like before you go, to Seattle? Is it strictly just let's go and beat Memphis and then we'll worry about the weekend? Or do you guys as a staff go, all right, if we go and get the first one done, let's start. Do you peek ahead at all, or is it literally one step at a time?
I mean, we have our other staff is obviously scouting Maryland and scouting Grand Canyon too. So we have one assistant that's doing both of those guys as well. So they'll be ready if we're fortunate enough to make it past Memphis, and whoever ends up winning that game, we'll be ready for. But no, today's practice will be 1,000% Memphis, and to be honest, it's going to be probably more 1,000% about us. There's some stuff we got to prepare for Memphis, but at the end of the day, we have to do what we want to do in the game. So we need to prepare for us and get us ready to go first, and then probably go a little more scout based tomorrow with more Memphis' things and specifically what they do. But it's a different game than we played the rest of the season. It's really similar to probably VCU that we played earlier in the year, and a little bit of, honestly, Utah State and San Diego State mixed together. So 3 really good teams. So yeah, that's makes me really excited to play Memphis.
Right. Ali, you mentioned San Diego State, and Dave talked about the Mountain West. You have one of your conference mates, if you will, playing tonight against North Carolina. Give us a little bit of a scout against playing San Diego State. What makes Brian Dutcher's team difficult to face?
And toughness, length, and athleticism. I mean, they've perennially been one of the best defensive teams in the country, and that is the staple of what they do. But now they got some talent on offense around it, and when they have talented offensive players mixed in with the defense that they always have year in and year out, they are a problem. And you look at Miles Byrd, Magoon Gwath is back, and I think some people probably don't realize that Magoon's been out for the last, I think, 4 to 5 games, and they've had a little bit of a slide over that time frame, but having him back is an absolute game changer. I mean, he's a 7-foot shot blocking machine. Like, anything that's in the paint is getting beat up by that guy in the paint. So he's an absolute game changer from them. He also can shoot the 3, pass, scores in the paint. He's one of the best freshmen in the entire country that probably people aren't talking about enough right now. And I'm just hopeful. Hopefully he's ready to go. Obviously having that much time off that can be a problem, but San Diego they're always a tough out. They're going to be ready to go, and they're built for defense. And usually teams that are built defensively have a great chance to win in the NCAA tournament.
What's that vibe like? You were there last year in Dayton. What is that like playing on Tuesday and or Wednesday for a lot of teams, especially without a fan base anywhere close? So what's it like there for tonight?
I'll be honest, like the crowd at Dayton was phenomenal. Like, it was a blast. I think at first you're kind of depressed going there because you're like, I shouldn't be here. But it was probably more so for us. I'm sure there's other teams like they are happy to be there. But at first it was kind of a slight in some ways. But then once you get there, like the pageantry of what they're about and how excited the people are, and how much it matters to that community of Dayton, like they love basketball there. And I think that's what makes it really cool to be at that event. And then obviously Dayton's facility is phenomenal. I don't know if you guys have ever been there, but it's a really cool facility to host that NCAA event in. And man, you get it kickstarted, and you're like everyone's going to be watching that game tonight. It's not like there's 6 other games on TBS and True TV and is Spike TV around anymore? I don't know, but it's like that's the game. And I think that's what's really cool about it is everyone will be watching San Diego State and North Carolina tonight, and I'm hopeful that they'll represent the Mountain West well.
You know, it's fun to see this time of the year because we get to talk to people like you. We get to see the spotlight that comes down. But the NIL world has changed a lot. And you now being an associate head coach, obviously you're heavily involved in recruiting and heavily involved in the business of college basketball now. You've gone through it from a player perspective to assistant coach and now associate head coach. How different is it to be a coach in college basketball today?
It's a lot different in the sense that these kids are making money. I'd say as simple as that sounds, and then I'd also say it's just working with agents. It's a different person that's involved with it from before. Before it was a handler, a mom, dad, and mom and dad are still involved in these things, but it's different. There's more people trying to get involved with these kids. It's a good thing at times. I have no problem with making money. These kids should be making money. I don't think that ever made sense that they weren't making some money on the side. I mean, the fact that I got $400 for a rent check and I was supposed to feed myself to be an athlete. And I don't know how I was supposed to do that. I was lucky I had parents that could help me. But these guys should be making money. I don't necessarily agree with the ability to just transfer as many times and as much as you want. The argument that coaches can do that's not true. There's buyouts for these coaches and people can't move freely. I remember when Jamie Dixon was looking at the UCLA job and his buyout from TCU was astronomical and he couldn't even look at it. So there's not a parallel between the two in that. That'd be one change. I don't know how you go about that right now, but that'd be one change I'd like to see. I have no problem with the NIL. I think it's just the freedom of movement makes it impossible to create continuity. And, as college basketball fans, it's not supposed to just be a strictly professional sport. Like what ties these kids to these schools and these communities is them being there for 2, 3, 4 years. Isaiah Stevens from our team, he will always be able to come back here no matter what. And that's what makes it special. And that's where these fans commit to these kids is they get used to them being here all the time and they get truly invested in these kids. It's not just the basketball program, it's these kids.
And that's the hard part, isn't it? Like you mentioned continuity, but how do you explain to a kid that if you do that, it's long-term better off maybe, but short-term, if they can go to another school and make a bigger bag or get more stuff, is that becoming a real issue in recruiting?
Absolutely. I think that's real. And I think you're lying to the kids too if you're not like, well, yeah, you should look at that. That's a lot of money. I would look at it that doesn't mean I'm going to do it, but I mean, it's hard not to, and it's hard for these kids not to when they haven't seen money like that in their entire lives, or the people around them haven't seen money like that in their entire lives. And I think that's real and that's hard. I don't know how you're supposed to expect a kid to just turn that down. And I don't blame a kid if that's the route they need to go because everybody's situation is different. For us, we've been lucky enough. Isaiah Stevens could have gone to a lot of places, and I saw a lot of texts from some coaches offering some pretty good deals to him. And he decided to come back, and now he's in the NBA. And he went to the NCAA tournament with his team. Nate Clifford could have gone anywhere in the country this year. And again, saw lots of text messages from coaches offering a lot of money. But he comes back, and now he's going to be a possibly lottery pick in the NBA draft this year. So for us, it's proving that our development is different than most other places, and you can get what you want out of this opportunity here. And it's not like we're paying crackers to these kids either. So we're competitive in that area also. But I think that's what separates us, and that's what's going to continue to is hopefully these kids want to stay for the coaching that they receive, the relationships that they have at some point.
Ali, Dan Hurley said it, I think, last week or week before, that basically he thinks that half of his roster will be leaving next year, and he's having to constantly re-recruit his players, not just guys he wants to bring in, but trying to keep them on his own campus. How difficult is that from a coaching perspective when you have coaches trying to vulture and pull your players out, where you're not only going after the next guy, but you got to recruit
Matt, I'm losing
guys.
you again.
Ooh. You back? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ooh. How
there
about
we
now?
go. How about now?
We hear you. Do you hear us? Is it wild? It's the first time it's ever happened where it's done that. Where it's actually.
Yeah, I don't know.
We can see and hear you, but you can't see and hear us. Oh, he's gone out and come back in. That's the best way.
That is the best way.
He pops back in because I want to ask him about the recruitment process with. Oh, there he is. Let's see. Are we back?
Back again.
Okay. Phenomenal. So I was asking, Dan Hurley said he has to re-recruit half his players. He thinks half his kids are going to leave. And so he's not just recruiting the next players. He's got to try to get his guys that currently are on campus to stay. Are you guys doing much of that? Like, how do you handle that when coaches are texting your players, trying to pull them and vulture them out of your roster?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you talk to them about it, but I think you definitely re-recruiting them after the season in some sense. But I've been re-recruiting them for the last 10 months and the last 2 years and the last 3 years that I've been with them. And I think that's the biggest thing is you can trust us in what we're going to do and what we're going to say because of the relationships that we have with these guys. And I think you have to also recruit kids that value that. If you recruit a kid that values money and wants to chase that, then you're going to lose them. It is what it is. And I think you can't dwell on that either, but trying to find kids that value more than just a dollar next to their name is a part of that. And I think all of us can say that yeah, sure, that doesn't matter completely. That's not the end all be all, but it definitely has an influence on people and it makes people change their decisions. But we got to find the people that value other things as well as that, because we can be competitive in terms of NIL, but I think those other things are what's going to separate us. And if a kid decides to go somewhere else, you can't dwell on it, and you got to move on to the next one then too.
Amen. That's you do you, and you stick to your ideals. You'll find the right people, ideally, hopefully. Last one for me, sir. Are the kids going to Seattle with you?
Yeah, they're in the gym right now getting shots up. So yeah, we packed last night. I posted a picture of it.
I saw.
And I did help a little bit with that one. But
Ollie, haven't you learned stay out of the way with wife and all them kids? Just pack your bag and stay out of the way. Make sure the car gets loaded and make sure the plane gets loaded. That's it. You're helping with the packing now?
100%. And the best part is, like, the Farokhmanesh clan just takes up an entire row together.
Yes.
Beautiful.
They're, like, we don't have to share with anybody. Straight across, all 6 of us right in a row together. So it's we're the classic people. Like, I noticed, like, nobody really chooses the seats in front or behind.
Nope. You got your own bubble. That's
all right. We'll let you go on this without tipping the game plan too much. Obviously, keeping Clifford on the court and not in foul and keep him on foul trouble and whatnot. But what's the game plan for Memphis coming up this weekend?
Man, just don't turn the ball over. That's obviously one of the biggest ones. They turn people over, and they're elite at making turnovers and converting them into points immediately. Like one of the best in the country. It's not just that they turn you over, but they convert them into points immediately. And then, like I said, PJ Haggard and Dane Danger, like, their problems, and trying to make their lives as tough as possible. 33 teams have tried to do that this year to them, so it's not like it's easy. So it's going to be a difficult task for us against, obviously, that talent. And Penny's done a heck of a job. Like, I don't know what other people say about him, but I'm watching that team, and they compete and they play hard. And that is number one. If you got talent and you can get them to play at that level of intensity that many times, you're doing something right.
I hope I'm not the kiss of death, but I like you guys to the Sweet 16. I think you guys are playing some of the best brand of basketball as anybody in the country.
Blame him. He put them in. He put you in all the way to the Sweet 16.
Just telling you, I think you're the double-digit seed to watch out for. I love the way you guys played here in Vegas. I think you guys have some real unique talent. And Clifford, I think, is a guy that people need to talk more about. Best of luck to you, Ollie. I'm on your side. Go Rams. Let's see you guys make some history and make some noise this weekend.
I appreciate you, Dave and Matt.
Thank you.
That is Ali Farokhmanesh, the associate head coach of Colorado State basketball, joining us here on the Bostonian versus the Book. They have got Memphis in the NCAA tournament coming up this weekend. They are favored to beat Memphis. They are the only 5 seed to be favored. If you want to go by the odds makers and the numbers, they're the only 5. They're the only 5 seed to be expected odds wise to win their game.
Well, the totals, what's the total? Open 146. I have all the opening numbers in front of me right now. That was great. I love when he joins us. He gave us a nugget last year that I cannot remember at the top. What he said was something about one day at a time.
Yeah.
Something like that. I forget what the quote was. I have it written down on a piece of paper outside of here.
Yeah,
he's embraced the coaching of stuff. Has been
the
awesome.
elevation for him in May to become the associate head coach behind Nico puts him in position to take over that program. Nico is the odds-on favorite right now for a couple of different jobs that he is being targeted, not by one, not by two different jobs, but Minnesota, he's the odds-on favorite offshore to become the next head coach of Minnesota. So, and Ali's from the region. Okay. So he played at Northern Iowa. So Northern Iowa recruits Minnesota and Minneapolis like crazy. So it's not to say that Ali wouldn't go with Nico and go to Minnesota, but if the program's so inclined, when you give somebody the associate head coaching position, the idea is that when the guy leaves, that the associate takes over, that he's been in the meetings. He's gone through all the X's and O's. He's done all the business side of things alongside the head coach to take over. So Ali very well might become the next head coach of Colorado State when the season's over.
Right.
Which would be awesome. I mean, which would be absolutely I couldn't be happier for him if that winds up happening. He is young. So, I mean, it would be, he would be one of the younger head coaches in the Mountain West and in college basketball for that matter, if he were to get it.
What year was the shot? 10 years ago, you said?
15
years ago.
15 years ago. Yeah.
So what is he?
I think he's like
40?
30. I think he's like 33, 34. He's in his early 30s.
Well, I mean, if he was a senior when that 15 years ago, he was
so probably 20,
so 36, 37.
Yeah, probably mid-30s. Yeah, okay. He's got 4 kids, so probably mid-30s. Yeah, is what Ali probably is.
Somebody put it in the chat. If you're
I'm gonna say 35. What Ali is,
okay,
for where he is. But I mean, he's, I think he's got the coaching. He's been at Nebraska. He's been now at Colorado State for a while, and that's a program that tends to lean towards tradition and culture. So I think they would at least give him a shot.
They're entrenched in the Mountain West, right?
Oh yeah,
they're not going anywhere.
No. I mean that's one of the building blocks. I mean, Boise State, like the states of the Mountain West are really the Utah states, the Boise states, the Colorado states. I mean, these are the staple of the conference.
Yeah, I mean that would be important to me.
He's 36.
So he's 36. Thank you, Whitrock. Appreciate you, sir. That'd be important to me if you're going to, if you're not going to go with the guy to Minnesota and you're going to be a head coach, I'd really want to be in a stable conference right now. That would be important
100%.
to me to be able to recruit kids and tell them, look, we're going to be here. This is what we're going to do. And you will have an opportunity to play against these other teams on these other networks, whatever it is, and we'll have an opportunity to get to the NCAA tournament, which as a college basketball player, I think, other than getting a bag, is still got to be one of the goals of a player and a team. So
yeah, and Grand Canyon joining. I mean, that they've got new programs joining the Mountain West Conference.
Okay.
So Grand Canyon will leave the WAC and play in the Mountain West next year for basketball. So you're adding different programs. The Mountain West is pretty stable. I mean the Pac-12,
like
one of the two were going to go away. The Mountain West or the Pac-12. One of the two was dead. And so the Mountain West stays, Pac-12's dead. So while they try to reconstitute the Pac-12 in a couple of years and build it back together and put it together, there's a thought that the Pac-12 and the Mountain West Conference will merge because it would make a lot of sense to merge it, to have kind of a 16-team conference like the others to keep yourself with stability. But Colorado State would be absolutely part of that, whatever they would call that new. I mean, arguably, they're going to fight over the name of the conference, to be quite honest, because I know people that think the Mountain West Conference brand is better than the Pac-12 because the Pac-12 brand is so injured that they'd rather keep the Mountain West Conference brand, and that's the fight. They could actually kill it because there could be some real big push and pull going on about what the conference is called. So a lot of egos going and running around there. So good stuff with Ali. Can you do me one favor for like 2 minutes? Can you just hand this? I have to go give somebody who's at the door.
Yeah.
I have to give. So I'll be right back.
Go ahead. Yeah, we got
just
it.
chat
Yeah.
while I go. Hold on.
That's no problem. Yeah, go to the door. So that was Ali. That was our first guest. Our second guest is coming up here in about 20 minutes or so. Eli Hershkovich from the lines. He's got some plays and some outlooks on not just the games tonight, but on the weekend. There was a great bet that was put out today, guys, by Chris Andrews, who we've had on the show, the director at the South Point. It was SEC versus everybody. And it opened up with everybody minus 160, SEC plus 140. It is now flipped. The current number is SEC minus 140 and take back plus 120 on everybody else. I'm just curious if you guys are here watching the show and you got an opportunity, say with a free C note, $100 bet, who would you take? Type it in the chat. Would you take the field or the SEC because it means more? It just means more. I want to say that right in case they're watching. We got a field bet here from JC from KC. King of Car Seats says the same. I don't know. I mean, you have so many opportunities, especially you have the top seeds with the SEC. Tyrone Boyd, I see you working, brother. He said the SEC. Jimmy Football's a field guy. JPC the fourth, 313. Field guy. Chicago Kristen says the SEC, you got 14 shots to win. But Chicago Kristen, you don't really have 14 shots to win. That's the interesting part of the bet. You have 14 teams to select from, but you don't have really a shot to win with 14 teams. So I asked this question with Chris Andrews' tweet today, and I asked the question to the chat. It opened up the field minus 160 against the SEC to win it all. It is now currently SEC minus 140. So they've taken multiple bets
on Houston.
Yeah, it's Houston and Duke. On the SEC. Right. It's basically, you get everybody else. There it is, Roger.
Yeah, field. Numbers are coming down. Yeah, I mean, that's too high. 160 is too high. I get two of the best teams in the country? Oh, my.
Well, no, they bet the SEC. They took the SEC. The SEC is now favored. So they took all the plus monies.
I thought it was favored.
No. The SEC opened the dog because you got everybody else.
I thought it was 160. SEC was minus 160.
No. It was the other way.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah. So they bet the SEC to make the SEC favored now. So now you could get Houston and Duke plus 120 and everybody else.
Yes. That's the bet. 100%. That's the bet. I get Duke at plus money. I get Houston at plus money.
Well, you get them combined, but you can bet them separately. You know, if you don't like them both, you can take plus 320 or plus.
Right.
Houston's plus 750. Why would you settle for plus 120 if you could get
Houston's plus 750 now to win it all?
Let me double check.
Whoa. Really? With their draw? Wow. Okay.
Check. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. Chicago John, I hate myself. I filled the bracket out, and that's what I came back with. Is it Michigan State's draw is a joke. They have an absolute clown show of a draw. They should be in San Antonio.
FanDuel has Houston 6-1 right now.
Nice bet. Wow. Okay. Have to go get that. Although I know I like my number better. I like rolling it over better.
Michigan State has 32-1.
They're not winning at all, but what's their odds to make the Final Four?
Let's see.
10-1.
Plus 490 to win the South.
It's a big difference.
So plus 490 to get to the Final Four.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean I would rather roll over Michigan State but I went through the bracket. I did my bracket today. I put it out on Twitter today, and I have Creighton beating Auburn. And you know, I've looked at this a bunch of different ways. Auburn is completely, I mean, they're floundering. And Michigan State's draw is so easy. It's ridiculous. Like their draw is, of all the 2 seeds, I would love to be Michigan State. They have, I don't want to call it a walk, but they've got, you said it yesterday, they're walking to the Sweet 16. I agree. And then after I got to the Sweet 16, I was like, they're going to win those games. They're going to win the Sweet 16 game. They're going to win the Elite 8 game. They're going to be in the Final Four because I think Auburn goes out early. And so as long as Auburn clears out, then it's wide open for Michigan State. I don't love the 3, don't love the 4. I mean, again, Bruce Pearl has made it past the opening weekend one time in his career at Auburn. He's been there 10 years. He went to the Final Four that year in 2019. But he's only done it once.
What about Ole Miss?
I don't like Ole Miss. I haven't liked Ole Miss at all. And I think Chris Beard's gone. I think the team knows Chris Beard's gone.
Oh.
So I think that there's a large, I mean, Chris Beard is the odds-on favorite to land. Well, I guess the odds-on. He's rumored to be going to either NC State or Indiana. So, and I mean, his baggage is what probably keeps him away from one of those jobs, because if you hire Chris Beard, you're going to have to answer a lot of questions that ADs would feel uncomfortable answering. But somebody asked me in the chat, I saw the Will Wade UNLV thing. Yeah, Brian, yes, this is true. Will Wade to UNLV is on except for NC State. If you look offshore, Will Wade is the odds-on favorite to go to NC State. So Will Wade currently at McNeese State, but Will Wade's the coach from LSU who got in a lot of trouble. He ended up losing his job where other coaches didn't. Patino, McDermott, and others got caught up in the same scandal, and they kept their job, and Wade did not. Wade was fired from LSU and had to, bounce around, went to McNeese, has done nothing but won the Southland tournament. He's back in the tournament. He's a big pick to have an upstate win as a double-digit seed. And NC State is eyeballing him. So if he winds up going to NC State, obviously he's not going to UNLV. If he doesn't go to NC State, UNLV wants Will Wade. I would want Will Wade. Great coach.
I mean, I'm looking at the South region. Auburn is actually the only team. No, Florida is also minus money to win their region. Wow. That's crazy. So Houston is even plus 120 to win their region. Duke minus 135. Florida minus 135. And Auburn minus 105. So I don't know. There's that's a hard. I don't want to just rule them out because of coaching rumors. I don't
no,
know.
But I like Ole Miss to beat
the winner of North Carolina and.
No, actually, sorry. I have Carolina beating them. I have Carolina beating Ole Miss.
Carolina winning tonight and Carolina beating Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think Carolina wins tonight by 3. I think they win the game by 3. I took
win and don't cover.
Win, don't cover. Plus 5. Okay. I took 5 with San Diego State last night, and so I think Carolina wins. They don't cover, and then they go and beat Ole Miss, and they get to this, and then they will. I have them beating Ole Miss. I have them beating Iowa State. I have Carolina to the Elite 8. Oh, sorry, Sweet 16. Sorry, Sweet 16, not Elite 8. And I have Michigan State beating North Carolina in the Sweet 16.
Okay.
And then I have Michigan State beating Creighton in the Elite 8 to go to the Final Four.
Wow.
I have Michigan losing to San Diego. I think Yale beats Texas A&M. I think San Diego beats Yale. Creighton beats San Diego. Michigan State beats Creighton. And they're in the Final Four.
All right, I think good because Eli wants to talk about Auburn's path. He's got some thoughts on Auburn's path. He's also got some thoughts on the Michigan and UC San Diego game as well.
Good.
So we'll get that from him.
I think the only bracket that I think has turmoil. I'm pretty chalky everywhere else for the bracket. I have Florida as my champion. I have Florida and Houston. My Final Four is Michigan State, Duke, Florida, Houston. I have Florida and Houston playing for the championship. I have Florida winning it all. But you want to tell me Houston wins it all? I'm not fighting. I'm not going to push you back.
Right.
I think Houston's tremendous, and I think people are sleeping on them still as to who they are defensively and who they are offensively this year. So,
will Houston, and only because you lived there, will Houston like take over San Antonio? They won't go? That won't be a big deal, will it?
They're just not the Cougar fan base is not big. I mean, it's okay. It's not like a Texas or an A&M or an Oklahoma. Like, it's just not that big. So Houston Cougar basketball and Houston Cougar football have followings, but it's kind of like, I would compare it to like the Tampa Bay Lightning fan base in Tampa. Like, those who love it.
Right.
It's just not a huge number of people that really, would be willing to travel. But it's an hour drive. I mean, San Antonio's an hour and a half. It's nothing. Like,
okay.
San Antonio is really close to Houston.
Okay.
So you'll have a lot of casuals. So they'll make their way over it. Even if they don't, love Houston basketball,
Right.
They'll go down there just to be a part of it, hang out on the Riverwalk.
Okay.
And be a part of it. Oh my gosh. 500 to 1 VCU to win it all. What are we doing?
King D's.
Whew. Okay. There's your
That's fun
dart
to
throw.
take those shots. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Let's just get to the second week. With that, just win 2 games. When
Right.
you're sitting with that at 500 to 1 and you get 2 steps in, that's that. I mean, just win 1 game. Keep that thing alive to the weekend is fun.
Right. So we got Eli coming on, and we'll go back to college basketball here in a second, and with Eli as well from Katina Media, the college basketball expert. Eli Hershkovich is tremendous. He's got some really nice graphics and metrics that he has used to help predict the field and make bets and plays. But you're wearing the Cubs stuff. Dodgers beat the Cubs 4-1 last night. Ohtani with 2 hits and scored a run. Did you see any of this live?
No, fell asleep.
Okay.
Tried to stay awake.
Come on. There's no
Fell
way.
asleep.
There's no way.
I was up listening late to that Elf Spaces. They
So would I.
Des Bryant joined the freaking Elf Spaces. That was incredible. Elf's
Fight
on
today
his way
at 2
to
o'clock.
Vegas. Yeah, it's insane.
There's a fight.
Well, we'll see if it happens. I hope it happens.
You know that Sean Perry is going to kill him, right?
Oh, we'll see.
6'4" versus 5'10" in boxing is not a fair fight. There's weight classes in boxing for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, we're not wrestling. MMA, I would say, totally different conversation. If we were doing MMA, Mozzie, I think, would take him apart. But you could be a junkyard dog all you want. If all you're using is your hands, you got problems when it's 6'4" versus 5'10". Can't get close enough to hit him. It's can't get close enough. You just push them, keep them at distance. If you know at all what you're doing, you have a massive advantage.
I'm sure one guy's been hit before and another guy hasn't been.
Fair. That's fine. But can you get close enough to actually hit him is going to be the question.
Just run right into him. Yeah. Just walk right to him. Worked for Tyson. Tyson beat tall guys. I don't know. I'm not saying he's Tyson.
I was going to say we're comparing Mozzie to Mike Tyson.
Oh, but you're giving it to a guy who they never been hit before. They never really probably been in a fight in his life. So that's fine. I
might
think
be sandbagging that, by the way. He might be sandbagging that he doesn't train. Most people here have trained in Vegas a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think
he grew up here. He grew up here. Sean, he grew up here.
No, he did.
He grew up in Summerlin. He said he did not grow up in Summerlin? I thought he grew up in Summerlin.
That's where he lives now. Yeah.
With his parents?
No. He's a place now here. I don't think he grew up here.
No. No,
A lot of poker players, P-Roll. You got to be careful what you
I'm just saying, is he really 6'4" then? I've never met the guy. I've never seen the guy in my life, but he said he's 6'4", 210. I'm like, okay, I'm betting a 6'4", 210 guy over a 5'10", 175 guy in boxing any day of the week.
All right, we'll see.
I don't care if he's never been hit or not.
The baseball stayed under. Why did they take the guy out after 69 pitches and no hits? I didn't see that. As soon as they went to the bullpen, the Dodgers went to work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that tonight. Tonight, what do you do with Steele? Because if they're going to have Steele in a pitch count,
under again, that's probably under. But we'll see. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. You know, guy pitches 4 no-hit innings and gets taken out. Why? I still don't understand. Now it's great that they got their guys over there, and you know it is a media tour, and you're right. WV Punch Drunk won. I mean, he's a massive star all over the place, but especially in Japan. So it's a big deal. It's great. It's great for them. It's great for baseball. And then, you know, today we're looking at.
Is it great for
training
baseball?
games.
I'm not so.
I don't know. They're growing a game where they want to grow the game.
Great. I don't know if it's great for Major League Baseball. It might be great for the game of baseball, like to grow the sport of baseball.
Yeah.
And maybe to go find the next Ohtani. But I don't know if it's great for the game in America, the league and the business of Major League Baseball, to send your biggest star back to Asia to play at 3:00 in the morning in his home market. Dodger fans couldn't watch that last night. Like if that was my team, I'd be furious.
Yeah, it
but so what are we doing? So like you're taking, I have 162 games to watch in the regular season.
They can't even watch the games in their own market. What are you talking about?
That too, but like that too. But a lot of them can, and they do it with pirating and other ways as well. But like you go and send that game overseas at 3 a.m. Pacific time that game gets played.
Yeah.
Impossible. Even if I mean, 6 a.m. on the East Coast is tough enough, but at least that's a morning, you get up and you watch half the game or whatever.
Right.
3 a.m. is DOA. Like, see you later. So if I'm a Dodger
didn't even
fan,
send the announcers.
It's unbelievable.
Fox didn't even
so
send the
bad.
Yeah. So
it's the whole thing is like, I get what they're trying to do monetarily, and I get what they're trying to do for the sport of baseball.
They sold out the stadium, and they were selling tickets for a regular season game for $3 a piece. The worst in the house.
3,500 get-in price last night.
Incredible.
Unbelievable.
Incredible.
3,000.
I wouldn't pay that for Game 7 of the World Series.
Right. I don't understand.
Hold on. If it's the Pirates, she'll kill me. I can't do it. Three dimes for one ticket.
Not going to have that problem for a while, so you're okay.
Oh,
you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about that conversation.
Damn,
it's going to be a while before you have that. But
yeah,
what that tells me, MLB and the Dodgers are making more money with those games overseas than they would playing stateside. Yes, Ross, that's true. I'm not debating that point. My point is, what does it do to the game of baseball when you're dropping the Dodgers down to 160? You say, what's 160 games? Okay, it's a lot of games, I know, but I just feel like you're telling the world really that we are willing to change our regular season schedule to go make money in a foreign country. And we're watching the NFL do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And look, those games in France with the Spurs, I didn't watch a second of it. I didn't even know what was happening. I didn't even know.
We're actually on the show. And we're like, wait a second. They're
in France
basketball right now.
Yeah. It was like, what? Why are we in France? So it's like these leagues. I'm all for globalization. I'm all for growing the sport. I'm all for growing the number of people that are going to pay attention to and play and watch the sport. I get it, but like we've become really obsessed with outside of America, and at the end of the day, we got to realize like the sport leagues, you guys are still needing the people here. Like you can't just constantly disrespect the hometown crowd over and over again before somebody says, you know what, I'm going to go find something else to do. I don't need to watch this.
Well, I think that's slowly happening in a lot of leagues. It hasn't really been a real great year public relations wise for the NBA.
No.
And there's people that will tell you that there's less people watching it now than ever.
Right.
That's why they went to France, because Wemby's from France, and they said, we'll send the Spurs to France and we'll sell out a couple games and we'll grow the games there. And there'll be kids that will become Spurs fans over there. And then they'll be, from a distance, fans of the NBA. That's what they're doing with the baseball. Like, Japan has their own league. We took our opening day of Major League Baseball and went and put it in their country to sell out a couple games. Listen, it's awesome. It's growing the game. But yes, it is. I mean, there's baseball fans today that are going, I didn't even know they played. I'm going through the box score. Wow, really? That game counts? They're playing in Arizona full schedule today. They're playing in Florida full schedule today of games that don't count. And JR 33312. The Reds and the Pirates are both out of last place with the Cubs loss in the NL Central. Good call. That's good. That's good. 0-1 Cubs.
Enjoy that.
Yeah, thank you.
Enjoy that.
Yeah.
Tonight, before we get to Eli, first four in Dayton tonight.
Mm-hmm.
You call this the play-in? You call it first four? What is this called to you?
they're playing their way into the tournament.
So you don't think these teams are not in the tournament
yet? That's the label on the odd screen is first 4.
Yep.
So I'll play along and call it.
Well, the win, if you win tonight, it counts on the record as an NCAA tournament win.
That is so odd.
So you're in the tournament. According to the official record, you are in the tournament. Most people would say you got to get to the 64 number before you start counting wins. Monetarily and record-wise, that is not the case. These teams, these are tournament games, official played tournament games tonight. So that's like, if you go by the previous conversation about it's a play-in, then Carolina is not actually in the dance. So everyone's freak out, the governor of West Virginia going public and like threatening people and being like, Carolina shouldn't be in. We should be in. The state got screwed and like we want to file lawsuits and whatever else that they're doing. Like technically they wouldn't, by that play-in logic, they're not in. By the rules and by the record and by the money, they are in tonight.
I don't know. It doesn't feel like they're in the tournament, but listening to Ollie talk about being there last year and what a chaotic thing that is to, find out Sunday. All right, let's go pack the bags. We're leaving Monday. We got to get to that place and try to have a practice in there before Tuesday or at least get there and get settled so we can play Tuesday, but pack for 6 days because we're not coming home in between.
Right.
So,
and we should have known that. I mean, listening to Ali, because we had him on before their win, and I had him last year winning and advancing, and they won and they advanced. But we should have faded them against, I think it was Tennessee. They played second game. We should have faded. Just given the chaos of what Ali was telling us, and now in retrospect, him saying like they had nothing left. They landed at 3 a.m. and they played 24 hours later. They were a mess. They had no shot against Tennessee. Like they were completely toast. We should have known that. I mean, I should have known that when it came to the handicap last year. But this year, look at him. I mean, he looks cool, calm, collected. He says, this is great. We're all good.
Well, I think that has to make you better.
100%.
Having done that last year and knowing that now, I mean, anything, I mean, really anything gets better with experience, Yeah. I mean, most of the time. So that's good.
Tonight,
that would lead me to believe that if North Carolina wins, then that you go against them in that second game.
I think they can win it, though. I think they can beat Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a turnover machine. But tonight, will you watch anything of St. Francis and Alabama State?
Nope.
Not a second.
I start Sports Grid at, I think I'm going on with Walsh before the show starts at 5. So the game will be on. Yeah. So I have to keep an eye on it.
I took the points.
There's not really an engaging
I like St. Francis.
NBA game.
No. Well, there's a couple late night. There's 2 late night games.
The late night games are better.
Milwaukee Golden State's a good game.
And Cleveland and the Clippers is interesting to me.
Good game, right?
I'm very curious.
2 good late night games in the NBA,
but not early.
Up against us now.
Yeah, so St. Francis will probably get a screen. What's it on?
True TV.
True TV.
Will you watch Carolina San Diego State?
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
100% will watch that.
This number was 5 when I took it. It's 4.5 now. I like San Diego State.
I like over. Line the moves to the under. I like over.
Tough in that gym, though.
I know.
People don't realize how awkward Dayton is. It's very different. It looks like a high school gym from a shooting perspective, and it has very steep sides all the way up to the top. It's like a football stadium more than a basketball stadium. So UD Arena is a different place to play basketball, and sometimes teams have a tough time adjusting.
Oh,
yes, America is rooting against UNC. 100%, JC. It's not really in my handicap, but anybody neutral walking into UD Arena tonight is cheering for San Diego State. You're not cheering for North Carolina.
I don't know about that.
Do you know how mad people are? We just talked about the governor of West Virginia going crazy.
Well, they're mad.
No, everyone's mad. I mean, literally, you had Stephen A. Smith on SportsCenter on First Take losing his mind over it. Like the country is big mad at Carolina getting in. I'm not, but there's a lot of really big people who are mad, like really mad. So we'll see how that whole plays out. But I like both dogs coming up here tonight. Let's find out what our next guest likes tonight. He is Eli Hertzovich from Katina Media, joining us here again on the Bostonian versus the Book. Eli, welcome back to the program. How are you? Dave and Matt on a Tuesday. What's up?
What's going on, guys? You know what I love about this show is you got two genuine hosts. You got Dave saying, hell no, I'm not watching the 216 seeds play tonight. And then you got Matt saying, yeah, I got a bet down. Probably don't. This is no shade or anything like that. You're like, probably don't have a ton of insight. Haven't watched either team play. I haven't watched either team play that much this year, but you got to bet down. I respect that about you guys.
Well, I like the dog play just because looking at St. Francis and looking at the numbers on KenPom last night, I was like, okay, I'll take the dog. It's a 3-point win one way or the other.
Right.
It's a close game, so I'll take the points.
Yeah, beat a respectable team in their conference championship game, too. I know the coach pretty well, going back to when he was an assistant at DePaul, believe it or not.
Oh, okay. Well, do you pay attention to these playing games, and what do you call them? Because I don't know what to call them. I'm very confused. First four, play in, blah, 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 blah. So, one, do you watch them? And two, what do you call them?
Oh, absolutely. I watch them, and I'm with you. I don't know what to call them. Google doesn't consider them first round games because, working on the back end and writing all that stuff, you're trying to get into SEO rankings. As a writer myself over at thelines.com and Katina Media, they're not first round games. They're first four games, kind of. They're playing games, kind of. So I'm with you, Dave. I'll be watching, but I don't necessarily know what to coin them as.
Do you how much stock do you put into the final 10 games of the regular season? Because St. Francis is 16-17. They were god awful until about February 1st. And then they got super hot and they won their conference tournament. And here they are now in the play-in game, which we'll call them here, whatever you want to call it, first four in Dayton. How a team is performing over their last 10 games, how much does that factor in, not just for tonight, but for the handicap going into the games this weekend?
Well, let's take a look at tonight first, because I thought a point that Dave brought up before I came on was interesting. UNC, before the Duke game, so in their previous 9 games ahead of the ACC tournament semifinals, where they overcome the 20-point deficit or nearly do. Jalen Withers steps across the free throw line, lane violation, game over essentially. UNC over their last 9 games before that one, shooting just under 45% from 3. So ahead of this game, I know, Dave, you were saying you like the over. I think market intuition is saying UNC is going to undergo negative variance from 3 against a pretty stout San Diego State defense, especially with Magoon Guaf, the freshman of the year in the Mountain West and defensive player of the year in that conference, back tonight after missing a couple weeks with a knee injury. But at the same time, San Diego State runs that hybrid pack line defense. So UNC is going to get open threes. Do they regress or do they not? It's the age-old question that I think the market is kind of battling here with the total.
One thing about the Carolina game that I looked at is just the pace in which Carolina is going to want to play. And we just talked to Ali Farouk-Manesh, who's the associate head coach of Colorado State, and he told us about the whirlwind they were on last year, about getting the Selection Sunday bid and then being told, okay, get your life together, getting on a plane, you're flying. He said it was a complete whirlwind and just had everybody twisted and turned. And I know Carolina travels in style and that they're not short on money and whatnot, but how much of a quick turnaround for Carolina, given what happened with them, that you can factor into this game tonight?
I would be more concerned, like if we look holistically at teams that played or coming off of a championship appearance in their conference championship game, or, played some semblance of 3 games in 3 days, 4 games in 4 days, whether you win or lose in the title game, rather than a UNC team that played on Friday. So you don't have a rest advantage over San Diego State because they lost to Boise State in the quarterfinal on Thursday, I believe, as a short dog. But yeah, I wouldn't put too much stock into a team like UNC tonight, considering they played on Friday. Yeah, they won a couple games, but it's not like they played Saturday or even Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We got to talk about it because we went down to the SEC tournament. I had never been to Nashville before. We went to multiple games. It was a great experience in the SEC tournament. In the SEC, it just means more. They put it on the polls. They put it on the signs. They put it everywhere. Matt has Auburn out in the second round, and he is saying they are not even getting to the Sweet 16. I don't know, but I wanted to ask you, because you had mentioned it, in our text back and forth. What do you think about Auburn's path and them being the number 1 seed, and or do you have them at least getting to the Final Four or winning this thing?
I have them getting to the Final Four. See, the shock I had on my face initially was the surprise in Matt picking Auburn to not advance to the Sweet 16. And then I realized, well, who are they potentially going to play in the round of 32? So is anyone really surprised? I'm guessing you had them going down to Creighton.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I actually have logic behind it. But it's after watching.
I'm just messing.
After watching Auburn play in Nashville and watching them play over the last 2 weeks, really, Bruce Pearl has made it out of the first weekend one time in his 10 years at Auburn. That was the Final Four run that he had. But they've lost 3 games out of 4. And I just don't think that they're playing great basketball right now. And I think Kalkbrenner is going to be a really big problem because they don't see players. I mean, the Jays play at the rim so often. The SEC doesn't, which is really crazy. We watched it. They're a 3-point shooting machine, the entire conference. It's dribble, drive, kick 3, dribble, drive, kick 3. The Jays do that too, but they play so much at the rim that I think they actually can cause a lot of problems for Broom and company.
I'm with you that Creighton gets past Louisville, even with Renee Smith coming back. You look at Creighton's drop coverage matchups against really good guards, and they've done a really stout job of shutting down opposing guards, whether it's Renee Smith. Edwards could have a decently big game just because of his ability to break opponents down off the dribble and space the floor. But against true shooters, they've done a good job of slowing them down. So I at least think Creighton gets past Louisville, even with that game being played in Lexington. So some semblance of a home court advantage like Xavier could have tomorrow night in the first 4 in Dayton. But when we look at conference tournament results, I touched on this on my podcast. You can't have tunnel vision. And I'm not saying you're necessarily thinking that way because Creighton could challenge Auburn to an extent. They could cover the point spread. But I'm kind of throwing Auburn's results out the window, at least in the sense that I don't think they should be the third or had the third best odds. I don't think Florida should have passed them despite the fact that the Gators won the SEC tournament. Now I get it. You kind of have to put Florida at that mark on the odds board because they won the conference tournament championship. But Auburn, I think, is a little bit undervalued after losing to Tennessee in the semifinal. This is still arguably the best rim dominant team in college basketball. If you look at CBB analytics, 86th percentile and at the rim field goal percentage. We know how good they are attacking the basket, led by winning award candidate, if not the favorite, after Cooper Flagg went down to the ACC tournament in Janai Broom. And then their opponents are shooting just, it sounds high, but 58.3% at the rim. That's good for the 87th percentile when it comes to Auburn's defense. And then if we think about a potential matchup against Creighton in the round of 32, second round, whatever we want to call it these days, Auburn could take advantage of Creighton's drop coverage with their shooters if they're on. I know they kind of went cold down the stretch, especially against Texas A&M. Don't really know what to make of that spot. I had the Aggies in that game, and keep in mind, Auburn was coming off of the SEC regular season title. Didn't have anything to play for in that game. And then right after that, you play an Alabama team that was out for revenge after Auburn took care of them on their home floor in Tuscaloosa. So long story short, I have Auburn going to my Final Four. I think they're a little bit undervalued in that market. I actually have a preseason ticket 35-40 to 1 on Auburn to win it all. Now, I've gotten to the point where I have my Final Four picks. I haven't picked my national champion, but I do think Auburn gets out of the South region pretty comfortably. Also, Iowa State dealing with no Keyshawn Gilbert. Lipsey is banged up. So that takes out a potential title contender from the lower half of the bracket. I really think this region plays out pretty well for the Tigers, despite the fact that they could get tested by Creighton.
Yeah, the game that everybody's talking about in the South, that's kind of, I mean, we saw them play in person Saturday night. Matt and I took our daughters to see UC San Diego win their conference tournament. We got a lot of people from the 313 in the chat and watching the show live all the time. Is Michigan subject to going down with those big 7-footers? What do you like in that game?
So I bet UC San Diego 3.5 on open. By the way, if you want to give me a few seconds for a quick TED Talk here,
please.
Can we stop with the UC San Diego is last year's McNeese State? Not that you guys have said it at all. I don't think you have. They're not even comparable One was a 6.5-point dog that I don't think the market really even trended toward against Gonzaga. Bulldogs blew them out. The other, the market bet down in UC San Diego. The Tritons opened 3.5. I got them there, now down to 2.5. And Michigan, you can make the argument that they're not overvalued at this point in the point spread because a 2.5-point line, maybe it's about right. UC San Diego, to me, certainly deserves this kind of market love with the way they played and how they match up stylistically against Michigan. But do you guys agree with that sentiment that UC San Diego isn't comparable to some of the dogs that are being compared to in that vein, in that same vein, because the market didn't necessarily trend their direction? And Michigan is, again, a team, when you look at conference regular season record, 14-6. They won a bunch of games by 4 points or fewer. They had a negative point differential in league play. Like, what are we even talking about comparing UC San Diego to a trendy dog, despite the fact that Seth Davis picked them and 8 others on Bracket Sunday, on Selection Sunday, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think people, if you look at the numbers, what jumped out at me when I started to break it down, and look, I faded Michigan in both games in the Big Ten tournament and lost it because, I mean, Kevin Willard needs to go back and learn how to stop ball, which is like the basic of college basketball, even basketball in general. If you got 5 seconds and the guy's going to go coast to coast, there's one player that can do it. Tackle the kid if you have to. Don't let him get to the rim. But that play, and then I just thought Wisconsin is now a jump shooting team, and they can't, I don't know what caused Wisconsin to fall in love with jump shooting, but they won't stop shooting threes regardless if they're 2 for 20. They're going to still jack threes. So they shot themselves out of the Big Ten title game, and they were tired on top of that. But turnovers for Michigan, they are in the 300ths right now for turnover percentage, and UC San Diego is second in the country. They're going to play a small ball lineup. Their big is 6'6", but they're going to pressure the basketball. They're not going to rebound. So if the ball's coming off the rim, they got problems. But if it's going in the rim and they're going through the hoop, they're going to beat Michigan, in my opinion, because I don't think they have to worry about rebounding because their bigs are going to pull those 7-footers away from the rim. I like 3.5 too. I took the same number. Are you betting money line?
I'll probably have a little bit of a sprinkle on the money line for sure. A great point that you brought up about Michigan and their turnover woes. And the other thing that I keep seeing out there, Michigan has the size advantage. Yes, they do, but don't doubt it. UC San Diego is going to trap the post, and that's when Vlad Golden and Danny Wolf are susceptible to turning the ball over. And Aniwa Tate Jones, if you haven't heard his name, one of the best.
Say it again, E. You said it so good. Say it again.
I admittedly had said it about a handful of times before the tournament, so I needed to say it slowly on my podcast. But yes, Aniwa Tate Jones. I can say it pretty cleanly now after this, probably my 20th or so radio show appearance. It comes off the tongue pretty easily at this point when you say it a bunch. But I'm with you, Matt. Not only can UC San Diego space out Michigan's drop coverage, we hinted at or alluded to Creighton's drop coverage. Michigan runs a ton of drop with Vlad Golden. UC San Diego top 55 in 3-point efficiency. But if they try to speed up and effectively speed up Michigan's offense, they should have success. And then going back to one of the first things we talked about, tired legs, I think Michigan is a prime example of that, or should be a prime example of that. Three wins in 3 days. They're coming off of their Big Ten tournament championship on Sunday. Quick turnaround on Thursday. Not only that, but it's high altitude in Denver. So I think this sets up really well for the Tritons. It's not like Michigan was an auto fade in the first round for me, but pretty good number on open to back UC San Diego that, again, matches up very well stylistically with Michigan.
How do you handle how do you handle big numbers? So you have San Diego. Obviously, it's 3.5. It's a smaller, like those are games that are more on the coin flip side of things. But we have some big spreads throughout this entire tournament where you have lower seeded teams up against higher seeded teams. So I normally don't like to lay big numbers, but I laid it with St. John's because I think St. John's playing in Providence, playing against a team that I think they, one of the worst. I lived in Omaha for 5 years. I love the Mavericks. I have friends who are UNO graduates. I'm psyched for Omaha to get into the dance. The trash can thing is all cute and whatnot. But I think they have no shot against a defense. Their defense is horrible as is, but St. John's defense is ferocious. I think St. John's wins that game big. I laid 17.5. It's 18.5 now. So 2-parter. One, how do you deal with big numbers? And do you like St. John's to cover?
I haven't bet. I've only bet 3 games so far. A couple of them we haven't touched on, one being tomorrow night with Texas Xavier. None of them are big point spreads. So I would say, we take it on a matchup by matchup basis. I'm not one to run to the window. Not that you are, but I'm not running to the window to back a big dog. I'm not running to the window to back a big favorite here. But I will say, on paper, St. John's matches up pretty well. Yeah. I know Nebraska Omaha ranks 19th in defensive rebounding rate, and St. John's lives at generating second chance opportunities and turning opponents over. Omaha also top 85 in retaining the ball, limiting turnovers nationally in terms of turnover percentage, but that's not against the kind of opponents and an opponent in particular like St. John's. So I'm with you. If I had to have a bet in this game, I would back the Red Storm, but general consensus for me, I'm not one to say, okay, take the big dogs, all these lines are inflated, or vice versa. It really is on a matchup by matchup basis. Even taking the example that I brought up from last year with Gonzaga and McNeese State, you had a trendy dog entering the tournament. I'm not talking about from a bookmaker standpoint, oh, this team is getting X amount of the bets and X amount of the dollars. No, but you had a really good coach historically, going back to his LSU days, and Will Wade up against a ferocious Gonzaga team that line was about right. I wasn't auto betting McNeese State just because I liked them going into the tournament. And I think that's my biggest piece of advice. Just because you like an underdog in March Madness, let's say it was UC San Diego against a team unlike Michigan that isn't turnover prone, you don't necessarily bet them. You don't take your priors in terms of intuition on a mid-major and automatically bet them in the first round.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. And you be careful about putting them in the bracket too, like too far. They can win the first game, but then it doesn't mean they get to the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8 because they can win the first game because of the matchup. Go back out to high altitude in Colorado, BYU and VCU. This is another game that you had mentioned to me in the text that you have a position on, or you're looking at something here you like.
Yeah, I have a bet on VCU, and the one hesitancy, I'll start off with that, with the Rams, is going back to Michigan, and from the jump when we started talking about March Madness here, VCU coming off of the A10 tournament title over George Mason on Sunday afternoon. That was a hard-fought game in DC. It's a quick turnaround on Thursday, and BYU is used to high altitude. So I'm not negating any of those points if anyone wants to say, okay, back BYU in this spot. But stylistically, BYU has not played well against ultra-physical teams. I wouldn't necessarily go as far as saying VCU is a Houston light, because they're not to that degree quite yet. There may be a starry if you want to compare Houston, or you want to say Houston is a Sprite. I think you can maybe convince me that VCU is starry at this point of the season. Okay. But turnover-wise, going back to the point that we brought up with UC San Diego and Michigan, BYU not necessarily as turnover prone as Michigan, but 207th nationally in turnover percentage. So below the Division I average when it comes to giveaways. Yegor Demon, a really good point forward. I like BYU entering the season despite the coaching change with Mark Pope going over to Kentucky. And I like their floor spacing offense. But I think VCU, this isn't the typical Shaka Smart havoc. Like if you look at synergy and you try to gauge how this team compares to previous ones when you press full court versus pressing the half court, VCU presses to the half court mark, to the middle of the court at an above average rate. They're not Shaka havoc when it comes to pressing in transition end to end, but I do think they could turn BYU over. Also, you look at BYU and the amount of 3-pointers they give up, 15th highest 3-point scoring rate allowed nationally. The Rams saw a lot of positive 3-point variance in A10 play, pretty good shooters. Max Scholga, who transferred over from Utah State with the head coach, Jack Clark, who transferred over from Clemson last year, a really good 6'10", versatile forward. You could even call him a wing that could space the floor in his own right. And Philip Russell, too, a mid-major transfer. So I think VCU has the advantage offensively and especially end-to-end if they could turn BYU over and push the tempo, because BYU's transition defense is nothing to write home about either.
Yeah, I think BYU wins the game. VCU covers, but I am really hoping that BYU gets to the Wisconsin game because I think that's a matchup that they will really benefit from. It will look a lot like the Iowa State game. Could be a really crazy, high-scoring, back-and-forth game that I like BYU. I actually think BYU makes a pretty good run here, and I've got them all the way. I have St. Mary's beating Alabama. That's my other big upset of the tournament. It's not only just Creighton taking down Auburn. I have Alabama going out to St. Mary's. How are you? Where are you on St. Mary's? I've been very high on them all year. People have kind of slept on them. I know they lost to Gonzaga in the Mountain West Conference tournament final here in town, but they beat them in both regular season games at Gonzaga and at home when they were dogs in both those games, and they won the games outright. How do you feel about the Gales?
Well, going back to the WCC championship game, hopefully for college basketball fans that are just jumping into March Madness or just jumping into watching college basketball, I know the typical catchphrase is, well, college basketball sucks. The NBA is great because of shot efficiency. And that held true in the WCC championship because Gonzaga and St. Mary's combined for 1 3-pointer. So let's just hope for all of our sakes that St. Mary's makes more than 1 3 in any given tournament game that we're betting on them or just frankly watching them in. But I actually, looking at a potential handicap for Alabama and St. Mary's, I did an injury article up at thelines.com that's live right now as of this afternoon. A couple, or at least one big one for Alabama, Grant Nelson. Let's say that's the matchup, St. Mary's, Alabama. Grant Nelson, I believe, dealing with a knee injury. We have no idea when or if he's going to be ready. Let's say in the second round or beyond. That's a massive injury. We saw how big of a dip Alabama took when it comes to offensive and defensive efficiency, in particular on the glass in the second half against Florida. Florida team, maybe we could touch on later on during this conversation. I think they're getting a little bit too much hype. But back to your original question, I go back and forth on whether St. Mary's can get to the Elite Eight or not, but I'm with you, especially if Grant Nelson is out for Alabama. I like them as a potential bracket buster getting to the Sweet 16 at the least.
All right, last one from me, sir. The SEC. Apparently, it just means more. We were down there. I told you they put it everywhere, and it says it everywhere. Now, Texas is playing Xavier tomorrow. You got a little thought on that one, and you put that out in the article. I want you to, tell everybody about that. But if I could give you SEC versus the field to win a championship, Chris Andrews just put out a tweet. They got that bet down there at the South Point. I give you a C note. Are you betting the SEC or are you betting everybody else?
What are the odds?
Now, actually, it opened up with everybody else was minus 160 in the field, and SEC was plus 140. It is now flipped to SEC minus 140, take back plus 120 on everybody else.
Well, considering I have just one SEC team in my Final Four, I think I would take the field. Now,
okay,
I have a surprise pick. I have some chalk here and there with Duke, Auburn. I have Texas Tech coming out of the lower half on Auburn's side to face Auburn in the semifinal theoretically, but I have an upset pick in the Midwest region. But yeah, I think I would, just based off of the notion that I have one SEC team in it. Granted, I think Auburn gets there semi-comfortably. Maybe Creighton challenges them in the second round, whether they do or not. But yeah, I think I would, especially at plus money, I would take the field.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got Texas tomorrow? Is Texas one of those plays?
Well, if you want to give me one other opportunity for a TED Talk here.
Sure.
Please. Go.
Betting splits. Okay.
Oh, boy.
My favorite topic. Let's go. Right show. You picked the right show to talk about
it. Well, just coming at it from, I have seen the most bet favorites in the first round. We don't know what to call it. Round of 64, first round, first four for today and tomorrow's games. Who the hell knows? But I've seen Xavier is one of the most popular spread bets. And then I've seen Texas is one of the biggest money line dogs, or arguably the biggest money line dog, according to one sports book.
Yeah.
For not only the first four action, but also digging into the first round. So over the next 4 days of NCAA tournament games. Can we stop with this, right? Can we?
Thank you.
Can we stop with the betting splits, Matt? Please.
I mean, it's one of the biggest things Dave taught me, I don't know, 5 years ago, we first started, because I would bring this up to him and I would say, hey, this book has this is it. And he would go, okay, let me walk you through the risk room for a second. And let's just say at 2:00, a bet comes in for $10. And so 100% of the money is on one side. It gets reported everything. There could be 2 bets on that side. We have no idea unless you get the actual live ticker. You have no clue when that little screenshot was taken. How old is it?
Yeah.
How stale is that information that you're running to the window to bet? Because that information might have been from 2 days ago, and then the next
book may be different than my book.
Yeah.
So E's book could need that, and my book could need that. Then what bet split do you want to believe?
And then the future wagers come into play, and they could be shading off the future wagers, saying, well, you know what? I need this number more because the future is going to hit me if this bet wins. So it's the idea that like there's some information to be gathered from media members tweeting things out, and then when you're going to use it to bet is one of the biggest lessons I learned from Dave 5 years ago. I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. Like these people are actually influencing the public onto what to bet. Oh, fade the public. You got to fade the public. Everyone's on this side. Well, actually, they're not. Like it's all fugazi. It's not real information.
Thank you. Very well said. I'm 100% with you. I don't know. It's not only that, but some of those same people that buy bet splits or betting splits are also chasing. Yeah. So you're going off nothing. And then if your bet loses, you're rushing to double down, triple down, whatever it may be. So yeah, it's a tough watch for not only the people that are touting that information and have a space to do it, but then bettors, novice bettors out there, let's say college basketball novice handicappers or viewers that are just getting down to watch and bet the NCAA tournament, haven't watched a lick of college basketball all season, and are chasing because they're losing off of their plays that correlate with said betting splits.
All right, let me get out in this because I want 2 picks. One, you said you had your Final Four, so I want to know the Final Four. You don't like Florida, so tell me why you don't like Florida. And then, is there a double-digit seed that you like to make the Sweet 16?
Yes, and I have a double-digit seed even further than the Sweet 16.
Okay.
I love their reactions, Dave. So Florida A, just off of the fact that they won the SEC tournament championship, I think they're overvalued. If you go back to non-conference play, their only notable win is North Carolina. And conversely, everyone was pissed off about UNC getting into the tournament because they only have one quad one win, and it was UCLA, who to me is a part of a Big Ten that I think is semi-fade worthy in this tournament. I'll leave you with that on Florida. But the double-digit seed, I like tomorrow. The double-digit seed, I like to get to the Sweet 16. And the double-digit seed I have advancing to the Final Four is Xavier.
What?
I have a big ticket on the Musketeers. I bet it last week. You can still get it out there at 110 to 1. I'm not talking about a big bet, like maybe a couple pizzas.
Is Fremantle in your family? What is going on? what is going on?
To be fit, well, okay, you're just a Xavier hater because you're a great fan.
I'm not a Xavier hater. I'm just going like, I've watched a lot of Xavier basketball this year. I'm a Big East guy. Hold on a second. What are we talking about? The Final Four.
I will say, I went to a Xavier game, and earlier this season when they beat UConn at home, great game, big sweat watching it in person with a big bet on Xavier. But I was asking everyone around me, can Zach Fremantle guard a ball screen? So that would be the concern with Zach Fremantle. So to answer your first question, Matt, no, I am not related to Zach Fremantle. I have no bloodlines to Zach Fremantle because I was talking smack when I was in the Cintas Center watching the Xavier Musketeers. But Xavier, to me, despite the fact, this is going back to one of the first points I brought up, tunnel vision. Xavier was up 14 points in the second half against Marquette in the Big East tournament. You lose that game by 2. Thank you. God bless you, Ryan Caldwell, for covering the point spread, at least the number I got, plus 2.5. I'm very grateful for you. But I'm not looking at that result and saying, okay, Xavier is at the worst getting to the Sweet 16. I think it's worth a Final Four bet off of the notion that, to me, that side of the bracket and that region in particular is the most wide open of any of the four, especially with Juwan Roberts and his injury question with Houston. And they could play a
Houston
Gonzaga
and Tennessee
team.
make a wide open bracket to you. That's scary, is it not? I mean,
it's scary, but it's also
isn't the Auburn Michigan State bracket more wide open than that bracket?
No, because again, I think Auburn is undervalued, and if Xavier gets to face Tennessee in the Sweet 16, let's say, I think their 5-out offense matches up really well against Tennessee's drop coverage. A Final Four bet that I had last year that is semi-similar to this one, and it's not necessarily from an odds standpoint because I think Clemson was around 40-1 to go to the Final Four, and they didn't get there, but they made it to the Elite Eight, nearly knocked off Alabama in that game as a short dog. But they had elite shot making, they could control the glass, and veteran coach in Brad Brownell that didn't get his flowers, frankly, going into the tournament, and has gotten them this year with Clemson being a trendy maybe Sweet 16 team, Final Four team, although they would have to get past Houston or Gonzaga to get there. But I digress. Xavier, kind of similar on the surface. You have Sean Miller. He's never broken through yet. You have really good shot making led by Ryan Conwell, really good guards, and a Swiss Army knife in Dalen Swain. And they play 5-out so they can create mismatches and can control the glass with Zach Fremantle at the 5, who plays bigger than he is at around 6'8", 6'9". So, you know what? Take your Creighton fandom, Matt, and place it somewhere else.
It's my Big East. It's my Big East.
Xavier!
All I know is if we're playing at the Cintas Center, I might listen, but we're not playing at the Cintas Center, so I can't listen. Xavier's a very good team at home. They blow big leads when they're not playing at Cintas. They blow games like they did against Marquette.
Well, how about this? How about this, Matt? Xavier is since late January, since that UConn game that I went to where I was talking smack probably to Zach Fremantle's parents and his siblings at the Cintas Center. They're top 30 on Torvik in net rating. So they're among the teams that are in the mix to get to the Final Four, yet they're not getting priced like it in, to me, the most wide open region of any of the four. So that's kind of my logic with Xavier. It's a long shot. The best part about it is if Xavier loses to Texas tomorrow, you could change your bracket right? Because it's a play-in game. So anybody that wants to take a shot at it, you could change things up after the fact. So I love that, right?
That's fair. Eli, tell folks where they can follow you and get all your content with the Lines and Cantina Media.
Yeah, you can follow my work on X at Eli Herskovich. I'm over at thelines.com. I got a bunch of articles there on the homepage, and check out my podcast, One Word, The Lines, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you find a favorite podcast.
Enjoy the madness, my friend. Good to see you. Thank you for coming on. This was fun.
Have a good rest of the show, guys.
Eli Hertzfitz joining us from the Lines here on the Bostonian versus the Book.
Oxford. He did Oxford.
Final
I wasn't
Four?
expecting that. For those of you that don't know, that was one of my favorite all-time moments in the book. A guy walked up to me to bet future bets, and he kept saying Oxford, and I had no damn idea what he was talking about. It was Sunday morning. I had just worked 16-hour days, 3 days in a row, and he's pointing at this sheet. He gives me Arkansas, and he gives me a couple other ones, and he said Oxford, and I was like, "Sir, what? Show me." And he points at the sheet. And he was pointing at Xavier. And I turned to my supervisor at the time, Miles, and I said, "Oh, there it is. Oxford. Sure."
Oh my gosh.
Oxford.
Kyle Neptune beat Xavier this year. Kyle Neptune got fired yesterday by Villanova. I mean, what? I mean, look, Miller, I get it, but as I asked him, is Zach Fremantle in your family? Because I don't know who else might love Xavier more than Eli Hertzovitz at the moment. Because that's a pull. All props to Eli.
I mean, seriously,
all props to Eli.
If they win, they get
He's
Illinois.
in the bracket with Houston and Tennessee.
No, I know, but if they win, they get Illinois. Can't they beat Illinois?
Of course they can beat Illinois, and I think they will beat Illinois, but I don't think they beat Texas.
Well, yeah, but then after that, they have the winner of Kentucky and Troy.
Okay.
Like they can't win that game too?
Well, no, they would play. I mean, they can beat Texas. Yes. They can beat Illinois. They can beat Kentucky. Sure. But then they play Tennessee. And I would be stunned. Their path is Kentucky, Tennessee, Houston. That's not wide open to me. That's really hard.
He may be getting shorted on the 110-1.
I mean, that's a really hard. I mean,
how big of dogs are they going to be in those 3 games?
We talked about the path at the SEC tournament, right? About how difficult it was going to be. You play it with like Alabama, Tennessee, Auburn, or whatever. Like you play all. You're playing. I mean, SEC, and then arguably maybe the best team in the country in Houston. I don't know that's not, to me, wide open is like what we see in the Auburn Michigan State bracket. That seems to be far more wide open. That's a team in the SEC that didn't win the conference championship and a team out of the Big Ten that did not win the conference championship as the 1 and the 2 seed. That bracket to me is way more wide open than the Houston, Tennessee bracket, in my opinion. Like Houston, Tennessee is Houston, Tennessee. Like I think both those teams can win the national championship and they're in the same bracket.
And they're going to be double-digit dogs multiple times. I'd have to do the math and figure out the money line.
The rollover might pay more than 110 if you just roll it
especially
over.
because you could take some, like as you go.
Right.
If you bet them to win the Final Four at 100-1, or to just get to the Final Four, just get to San Antonio.
Yeah.
The 4-game parlay to get there may pay a hell of a lot more. And you can take half. So you take it and roll it, take it, and then take a little bit for your time and roll it again. Yeah, that's crazy. That is a really difficult path. Listen, I love Eli. He's a
great.
Good kid. He
great.
writes these articles. And when I was talking to Eli years ago, when I was in the risk room setting up, shop for when he was on with Costas, and I did multiple shows with him, that's a little crazy. If you're still watching the show, then Xavier's a little bit like, listen, we're cutting that clip. If Xavier wins tomorrow, listen, we're putting that out. We'll have it all.
I'm a Big East homer in a lot of ways, so I would love to see Xavier beat Texas. I just can't bet Texas. I'm betting on Texas, hoping to be wrong because I can't stand. I think Texas is a bad team. Let me rephrase. I don't think Texas is a NCAA tournament warranted team, much like Carolina. I don't think they warrant being in. When I watch them in person, I'm not like, oh, that's a team I'd want to see in the dance. It's not. They just got hot. They're hot right now. So I was
more impressed with them in person against Texas A&M than I was with Texas A&M.
Oh, I think A&M's. I'm with you. I think A&M doesn't belong. I think Mississippi State doesn't belong, and I think Texas doesn't belong. Those are the 3 teams.
I'm worried about Texas A&M winning that first game.
And Vanderbilt, too, for that matter. I'm not high on Vanderbilt either. And I think Vanderbilt's going to lose their first game. So I think the SEC has 4.
Oh, you froze. Wow, look at that face. That's the mad thinking face.
Are you back?
Snap it. There he is. All right, you're back.
Yeah, I think 4 to 5 losses in the first round for the SEC of their 14 games. I think it's a 9.
We'll go through that tomorrow.
9-5 record, most likely, for the SEC in their first game that we're going to see. I think most of them win, but I do think they're going to lose a bunch of teams that they're going to get slapped and put out. So, okay, college basketball question.
Yep.
If you're D-Rock, what job would you rather have, West Virginia or Iowa?
I don't know his personal situation. You said he's an Iowa guy.
The Iowa guy, the Iowa family.
Oh, the Big Ten's a pretty good conference.
If West Virginia has more money, has more NIL money, and arguably a better infrastructure, and you just went there and moved your whole family across the country to West Virginia to Morgantown, would you move them back for a job that's going to be more pressure, less NIL money to go home?
It's a hard decision. Again, it's as much the conference as it is anything else.
Okay.
The uncertainty of the Big 12. I mean, it's a basketball conference.
Mm-hmm.
You
with
just
football money driving it.
Right. Which I think, oh man, that's a tough one. I mean, I've never been to Iowa and I don't know the surrounding area as far as that goes, but I've been to West Virginia and it's not a bad place. That travel could be brutal. Like the travel in the Big Ten conference has to be much better than the travel in the Big 12.
Why?
Oh no, now because they're
Arizona State, like, Washington. There's West
Washington,
Coast. There's Washington, Oregon,
UCLA, and USC, and the other coast. Yeah,
Colorado, Arizona State. I mean, it's still 5-hour flights, 6-hour flights.
I mean, I think you got to go with where there's more money, no? Because then you could get better players.
That's West Virginia. I mean,
Yeah.
I got a text from someone today in Iowa that said, "You have no idea how bad the Iowa NIL situation is. It's bad for football.
I don't think they're alone though.
In basketball, it's a complete and utter mess in basketball. Like they don't have any money to give anybody. Like they're getting trounced right now in the NIL world. Iowa is not competing well at all."
Eli just sent me a text to say thank you for having him on. He was watching afterward.
Nice.
What I don't know. You got Iowa guys. Oh, there's Whitrock right there. Iowa NIL is garbage.
That's what I was told this morning. I said that it could literally blow unless somebody steps up and says, "I'm going to guarantee X number of dollars for you in the NIL market." That could cause D-Rock to leave. Say, "I'm not going to go there for 2 years and lose and get blown out."
Oh, wow.
Yep. And the Country Road Confidential is the collective for West Virginia, and they ain't playing at the moment. They got some boys like we know who are involved in their NILs. So
it's not a shoo-in that he's going back.
They want him, but it's not a shoo-in. He's gonna accept it. Like when West Virginia didn't accept the NIT or the CBI or the Crown, and they said our year is over, that made everybody go, "Oh boy." So Iowa's the job. And then the question started to come, and he was like, at least through his people or whatever, letting it leak out that that's not really the case. So he might be looking to parlay that into more NIL money at West Virginia, or maybe a contract extension at West Virginia. So it's not a guarantee. It's not like a 100% like slam dunk that he's going back to Iowa.
Wow.
The fans hated Fran about like that did. Yeah, I hated Fran. That's true. I mean, he stayed too long. McCaffrey should have been blown out a long time ago.
I don't know. It's a tough spot. It's a tough spot because they're going to love you in West Virginia. If you take this and what you did, West Virginia will always be a wannabe. I don't know. They've been in the Elite Eight before.
I mean, Bobby Huggins had some pretty good runs with them. I don't know about that. Like,
yeah. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Who was on McAfee? Who was on McAfee this morning? Rappaport reported that DeVries was not a candidate in Iowa. What is Rappaport doing with college basketball reporting? Are you joking around about that?
I don't know.
That's got to be kind of a joke. Like that's Rappaport's reporting that DeVries is a candidate in Iowa.
And everybody's talking about college basketball this week. Everybody.
Why is he in Rappaport reporting anything in college basketball? Unless an agent told him what to say, because all he ever does anyway. So
yeah, I don't know.
He was told what to do. I mean, I don't think this is true. I can name 30 schools I'd rather play for than West Virginia. Where do I live and where am I from? If I'm from Pennsylvania, if I'm from Dave's neck of the woods, I wouldn't think so. No way. That's a passionate fan base.
I mean, you could decide between Pitt and West Virginia.
Yeah, it's a good job. It's a good place to go to school.
We go to West Virginia.
Yeah, I don't think that's true.
Big 12 versus Pitt, and bottom feeder in the ACC. Now, I don't know. Again, it's probably hard.
JR, this is not a fair conversation. UCLA or USC than West Virginia. That's not even like what kids being recruited by all three schools. Like that's really rare. You don't ever see that. You're not choosing between those three. That's not really the case. If I'm an East Coast kid, I'm getting recruited by East Coast schools. West Coast kid, you're staying out west and going to West Coast schools.
Not necessarily now.
You know where the money is. I mean,
that's what I was just going to say. It now matters where you're getting paid.
Yeah, but the local guys are going to be more likely to get bigger NIL checks because your name, image, and likeness needs to resonate more. And if I'm a kid from Compton playing football, if I'm a kid from West Virginia, from a coal mining town in West Virginia versus some part of LA, I'm going to be more well known in West Virginia as being a 5-star recruit than I'm going to be from an LA area.
Yeah, but that would be NIL working in theory the way it's supposed to work. Now it's just a payroll. Now it doesn't matter. That kid is from where that's going to BYU next year? New York City?
No, Boston.
It's
Massachusetts. Yeah.
Right. He's going to BYU.
But that's always been the case, though, because his AAU coach is tied to the guys. He put him in a prep school in Provo, Like they put him out there for a reason. Like that was always the plan, was to put him out there. That's happened for years. I mean, look at what TJ Otzelberger has done for years and the kids he's pulled out of Massachusetts and stuck them. I mean, Georges Niang did the same thing, stuck him in a prep school in Kansas, pulled him out of Methuen, Mass, and stuck him in a prep school. Like that's been going on. Kids getting yanked and stuck in a prep school to go as a stepping stone to the school they're supposed to go to. That's been going on forever.
Because they got the money. That's what I mean.
Well, at the time it was
kid. I mean,
illegal.
They become a local kid. They live there. Yes, that's fine, but that has nothing to do because they're going to sell more cars at the local car dealership. They're getting paid, so I don't know. I mean, you heard Ollie at the beginning of the show. If you guys missed it, I mean, we had him on, and he said there's kids that want the money, and there's kids that want the stability of a program and different things like that. You got to find different kids. I mean, those days of saying, I get to go play in Pauley Pavilion. Nobody cares. They don't care.
That is very true. That is very true. If you guys are watching on Sports Grid or listening on Sirius XM, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Remember, Thursday live show and Friday at Resorts World. We're there from 12 to 1:30-ish live, but replayed. You'll see us live from a March Madness party on Thursday and Friday. You guys are watching live. Bonus time now. Yeah, I think it's going to be, if I'm D-Rock and I am having a legitimate apples to apples conversation right now, unless wife comes and says it's time to go home, I don't know if it's time to go home. You just moved. Your whole family. Tucker's got I think Tucker can come back next year. That's why they sat him out. He only played 8 games. So I'm pretty sure that Tucker DeVries can play next year for West Virginia. So I don't know. I think I might stay. I think I might stick around.
I mean, you can pay movers to move your stuff back. That's not that big of a deal.
No, it's a life change. It's a whole. It's a huge deal.
You go back.
Not that physical move. It's the mental component of their family and 4 kids and their friends and their schools and everything else. That's a lot.
Will be fine.
They will be fine, but it's a lot to go there for 1 year and back for another. That's a lot. I'm not saying you don't do it for that reason.
Well, I think with that tie back home is big, makes that move easier.
Way easier. He's royalty. The DeVries, his brother played for the Lions. D-Rock's been either involved with Drake or Creighton for 20 years, and now he's the coach of West Virginia. To go back home is easy. Dana Altman did it. Like, he looked at Arkansas for 2 days and went, "Fuck this, I'm out. Goodbye. I'm going back." Like, I don't want no part of this woo piggy shit. I don't want to go hand when you guys are all wacko. I don't want to be here. So I get it. I mean, you find the right job. Dana went to Oregon, found the right job, went to a Final Four.
Right.
Like, if Iowa's that job for you, that's your dream job. Is that the job that you think you can, accomplish great things? Dana was always a Nike guy. He was always tight to always tight with Phil Knight. And so he goes to the Nike school and Phil Knight is, loves Dana. So like, is Iowa the dream job? That's the question.
Well, that's what you have to figure out. As far as like this next story is great because, he's there and he comes back. You invite some team to a tournament and then nobody checked. Like, how did this even happen?
I don't know how this happened. This is one of the sickest stories that I've come across, and it's something that should be a major eye-opener for everyone involved in these tournaments. So in case you missed this, the NIT bracket got released on Sunday. The NIT is trying to compete with the CBI. These two tournaments now are fighting with each other because the Crown has taken all the big names. The Big East, the Big Ten, these all big name are all coming to Vegas. They're all coming here. So because of that, there's a big fight as to which conference you want to be in. Do you want to be in the NIT or do you want to be in the CBI? The NCAA is affiliated with the NIT. The CBI is not. UC Riverside got out of the CBI and accepted an NIT offer. But they had already told South Alabama that they were getting UC Riverside's spot. Okay. And then UC Riverside came back and said, actually, no, we want our NIT spot back. So they called South Alabama back and said, sorry, we don't have a place for you in this bracket. They had already told the kids that they were going to the NIT.
So strange.
Sucks. I mean, anger, like real anger.
Did we not have like text? Like, like how's this even possible? I called you, but you didn't answer. And then we said yes to them and didn't say yes. But wait, who called them the first time?
Yeah.
You gave your spot away, Jimmy Football. I don't understand how this happens.
The statement that came from Dan Gavitt, quote, after the NIT bracket was released Sunday evening, it was brought to the NIT's attention that one of the teams scheduled to participate in the tournament had also committed to a non-NCAA affiliated postseason event. In an effort to secure another participating team, the NIT prematurely extended an invitation to South Alabama prior to learning that the original team chose to accept its invitation to the NIT. Regrettably, the NIT rescinded its invitation to South Alabama. We understand the emotional impact this confusion created, and we sincerely apologize to South Alabama head coach Richie Riley and all the student athletes for the error.
So they ain't going nowhere now?
CBI. But I think they declined the CBI. I think they're going nowhere because they declined the CBI. They said, fuck it, we're done.
Right.
Pack the season up. You guys suck. We're not doing anything now.
I think at that point, you really have to. I told you when I talked to B how he was talking about that being a possibility, about everybody just, as soon as the season's over, if we don't get to go here or there's a purpose of this, we're just done.
Yeah.
I don't blame them at all for saying we're not going, but to be told you were going and then get that like call back or text back, say, hey, hold on, somebody here made a mistake. We don't have a spot for you. That sucks.
There's no other way around.
There has to be a better way.
There has to be a better way. There's no debate. There has to be a better way. Really embarrassing. And then one quick story on football. Your boy Cam Hayward's pissed off. Went on 2 different podcasts and basically told Aaron Rodgers to fuck off. Like, he is done waiting for a quarterback. He is done playing this game. He got involved last year with recruiting for Russell Wilson. He said, I'm not worried about the quarterback position. DK Metcalf has said, I'm not worried about the quarterback position. As a Steeler fan, how do you feel about this all going public right now?
I think he speaks for a lot of people where it's like, all right, all this hype and all this talk, like it was all fun and good at the beginning.
Right.
But, it's like other things. When you just play around and there's no resolution, you know what I mean? Like when there's no finish, it leaves you feeling blue,
he said, I ain't doing the darkness retreat. Talking about Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. I don't need any of that crap. Either you want to be a Pittsburgh Steelers or you don't. It's pretty simple. That's the pitch. If you want me to recruit, that's the recruiting pitch. Pittsburgh Steelers. If you want to be a part of it, so be it. If you don't, no skin off my back.
Yeah.
DK Metcalf said, this is a historic organization. They've done the recruiting before I even got here. So whoever wants to come here and try to win as many games as we can, then join us. But if not, good luck on the other side.
Yeah, Minnesota, king of car seats. I see you in here. D Stout 19. That's your guy. Wow. Should go play in Canada. Johnny Parlay, go play in Canada. Wow. Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be a good fit ever myself.
Now it's not a good fit.
And now it's really like, okay, when you got the guys in the room who have been policing the room and talking for the franchise, we've talked to Hayward the last few Super Bowls. Like he's a big guy. He's a huge presence walking around Media Row.
Well, I just think it's such a Pittsburgh comment, like just knowing Pittsburgh and the Steelers and the history of the Steelers, like to basically compare, like we're Pittsburgh, we're not LA. He said, it's not LA, it's not Atlanta. This is the place where gladiators come and we're going to compete every day. He was receptive to that, talking about Russell Wilson. He wanted to compete. Like when you start saying these things about Pittsburgh or about a city like Pittsburgh, it's a blue collar, hard nosed, tough community. Like this is, you've become like, he already was an icon, but like this is like people raising up pitchforks for the guy and like wanting to go storm the castle. Aaron Rodgers can't walk into this. He's essentially being called the California's soft P word. Like, like he's essentially, and that doesn't work in Pittsburgh. And then if you walk into that locker room, think about how Aaron has to defend himself walking into that locker room. Because the guy, the leader of this franchise, just said, "We're gladiators. What are you?" Like Aaron has to go like, I like to take ayahuasca and go.
Oh boy, you froze up again, right? The last word you said that we heard before
Was
that
ayahuasca?
was ayahuasca. Yes.
Take ayahuasca and sit in the dark. That's
Bam.
that's what you do, you know? Most Pittsburgh Steelers fans aren't taking ayahuasca and going sitting in the dark for 2 days.
The expectations for the Jets were really high when he got there, and he got hurt 4 plays into his stint. The expectations, if they change all of this in Pittsburgh for him, it is nonstop. Okay? It is nonstop. So you just better be aware of what you're getting into, and all you have to do is try. If you try 110% every play, and you believe in the uniform and everything else, and let the city know you're here for them,
Yeah.
You'll have a shot. But he's not doing himself any favors at this point.
It's
when
dead.
the guy inside is
Dead.
saying,
Dead.
Boy, that will suck for him if he has to go to the play at the Giants after finishing out at the Jets last year and the Giants.
I got to say, though, I'd rather be, if I'm Rodgers, I'd rather be playing for the Giants than the Vikings.
Why?
You want to do the Brett Favre career arc? Go to the Vikings. You've just completed it. There's your Brett Favre, the exact same thing that Brett Favre did. You're doing. I wouldn't go play for the Vikings simply for that reason. I can't do everything Brett did.
They got money, and they got. I mean, aren't they the best opportunity to win?
Sure. Oh, 100%. Yes. JJ, you kidding me? Like you're throwing at JJ. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, but they also don't think that you're the guy. I mean, McCarthy could beat you out. So
wow.
I mean, they go.
But I think, you want to talk about a career arc and a finish, like go and compete for the job.
Yeah, but he wants to be handed the job. He doesn't want to compete.
Well,
he wants to be handed the job. So if you're going to Minnesota, you're going in there competing with JJ McCarthy. He's the guy. He's the heir apparent. So you're not handed the job. In the Giants, you're being handed the job. It's your job. You're the starter.
So in Pittsburgh, he's not going to be handed the job. He's going to compete with Mason Rudolph.
I mean, that's the way they'll frame it, but the same way they framed the Russell Wilson, Justin Fields conversation. That wasn't a competition. They handed it back to Russ the second they thought he was ready. Justin Fields was 4-2, mind you. He had a winning record and got benched.
Yeah.
So like Justin Fields is like, wait a minute, I was winning and you're benching me. Like, hold on a second. What the hell's that all about? That's just the way that it went. Just the way that things went down. Time for Bet It or all right, hit it yesterday. We're going back to the well. Stars and the Oilers. Do you know the Stars are 0-2 this year against the Ducks somehow, some way? They're winning tonight. And then the Oilers have won both games so far up against, forgetting where they're playing, but we're taking the Oilers tonight. Both
Oilers are home against Utah.
Thank you, Utah. They're 2-0 against Utah.
Yeah.
Even money line parlay.
That one worries me. I'm with you. I think Dallas wins tonight. It got there yesterday. That was good.
Yeah.
Geez, I'd say book this one. Only because I really
Utah winning on the road.
I'm worried about Edmonton. I just don't. I don't know.
Get right spot.
Yeah, I think get the jersey ready, David, for what, the Vikings? King of car seats? Come on, bro. Although I do have the jersey ready. I love the purple. My God, if he goes there, I mean, jeez. Go Twins. That's all I could tell you. Wild. I mean, it's been rough. God bless you, Minnesota people. Just stay strong. Oilers should win. They get Hyman back tonight. Okay, thank you, Addison and Wrench, one of our resident hockey guys. All right, I'm hesitant, but I'd say book it. Only because I'm worried about the Oilers.
San Diego State +5.
This play makes sense.
Defensive game, grinded. I don't mind the under. I know you like the over. I tend to say dog in the under, but
yeah,
I've decided to stay away from neutral site totals after watching the SEC and thinking I was going to see defense in every damn game going over. I'm now hesitant to get involved with totals at the moment.
Well, now I like over, and I already have my outfit picked out for tonight on Sports Grid, and it's all Carolina stuff. Now that I know that there's hate watching parties, like legit people are mad.
Big mad.
I love the baby blue stuff. I'm wearing all Carolina stuff tonight. That's great.
They're big mad about Carolina. They're public enemy number one. Everyone wants the Aztecs to win tonight.
Really?
Dissent. They want them. They would love to see. I mean, the committee's on the hot seat. Granted, I mean, if the Aztecs blow out Carolina tonight, that's bad for them.
It really is for that guy and that guy.
Bubba, that's bad for Bubba.
Bad for Bubba.
But Bubba, not only does he want his Tar Heels to win, it looks the whole committee, their credibility is resting on one game. This game, they need Carolina to win this game, and cover would look better.
Put it in the chat, boys. You get one bet. You laying or taking. You got UNC or San Diego State. +4.5 is the current number right now. Type it in the chat before we get out of here.
I'm taking St. Francis. They're hot. They're 16-17, but they're hot. Give me +4.
Listen, I forgot to text you. Fix that. It says St. Fanatics.
Yeah, same difference.
Don't mention Fanatics, please. Don't mention Fanatics. Please. St. Francis. I forgot. I saw that right before we started the show, and then the text with Ollie and everything else messed me up. Yes, St. Francis +4. So you like this?
Yes. Give me the dog.
Right,
tight game. One possession.
I'll say bet this. I think you're right.
They may win the game outright.
They might.
They may win the game outright.
These numbers are hard to do for these teams. Bad teams that are playing a game that is future. King D's sports betting says, wow, St. Francis PA money line. Not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
Not out of the realm of possibility at all.
Yeah. They're fired up. I mean, they were bad. They were really bad halfway into the year. They turned everything around and they've been red hot. Won the conference tournament. Let's go St. Francis, PA. Favorite thing about today is what?
Two things. One, I got a call from Tyler Wyatt today. He messed up his knee, which is why he didn't join us in which is why he didn't join us in Nashville.
Okay.
He just has to keep playing basketball. But he's landing either tonight and or tomorrow morning, and he's coming by with a group of people from Tennessee at Resorts World. He's going to come by, hang out. He's going to be here all week. I guess he's playing poker later or something, but he's here for the basketball. The poker stuff starts. So that'll be fun to see him. Again, a reminder, Resorts World Thursday, Friday, live shows, Red Tail, no smoke, food and drink specials, all the games on. It's right around the corner from the sports book. If that's more your jive and more your thing, go over there and do that. But we'll be there doing the show. I hope to see as many of you that want to come by and hang out. We'll be there. Number two, the Kansas City Royals made a big decision today. They're going to wear all baby blues. They're going to get the baby blue pants to go with the baby blue jersey. And I got to go get myself a pair of baby blue baseball pants or something to wear like when I go to the grocery store or when I wear, because baby blue is the best.
Is this full-time home uniform?
I don't know. I saw the Kansas City Royals put it out. JC from KC, I wanted to see if he was around to ask him specifically. But man, oh man, those things look gorgeous. They are amazing. I have the jersey.
Every Saturday home game.
That's it?
Yep, that's it.
Oh, I guess I'm going to wear them on Saturdays myself.
Every Saturday home game,
That's
the
fine.
powder blue jerseys will be worn and the powder blue pants will be worn.
Okay.
For the
All right.
Royals.
All right, perfect. Excellent.
Every Saturday at home. So how many home games is that?
Probably half, right? There's 26 weeks in a baseball season, so there's probably 13 home games.
It's pretty good.
Saturdays, maybe 10, between 10 and 13. Maybe we'll go actually. I'll go and see a Saturday home game.
Have you been to Kaufman?
Never in my life.
Not missing much.
Oh. We're trying to get out and do more.
That's fine. It's the single big. I mean,
places
of all the ballparks that I've tried to modernize, Kaufman's center field screen is the dumbest. It's impossible to watch a game and watch it in front of you when what's going on behind you takes up every bit of your attention.
Cut his mic!
I'm just telling you, it's insane. The Royals hate me anyway, so it's fine. They tried to throw me out of their ballpark before. So it just, again, there's two parts about Kansas City I don't understand. I don't understand the obsession with water fountains. With I did the whole
They're
like
beautiful.
why I don't understand the obsession with it. The water fountain there, I don't understand. It's all over the city. It's everywhere. I don't understand. They're not beautiful. They're weird at times. They're stuck for weird things. And then I don't understand why they have it's in the shape of Kansas City. It's in the shape of their logo. It's in center field. Frank White tried to throw me out. So yes, that's I am anti Frank White. Absolutely. Forever anti-Frank White, 100%. Tried to chuck me out of there for wearing a Red Sox hat in their clubhouse, in their press box. Tried to throw me out. So I'm not a fan of Frank White at all. Called my boss, complained to my boss. My boss was like, "What? Why are you calling me? This is dumb. Don't talk to me about this." My favorite thing about today, I love the fact that every March we talk to certain people like Ali Farouk Manesh and people that we don't normally get to talk to. Like we don't normally get coaches. It's a time of the year that they're all doing media and they feel comfortable because a lot of the guys, like on a random Tuesday coming on the show, we are a sports betting show, so they feel a little bit awkward at times. I mean, like, we've gotten Coach McDermott on the show before and other coaches, but like I have to have like a serious tie to these people to pull them and get them on the show. So favorite thing about today is talking to Ali Farouk Manesh and just, getting to know that they're going to be playing a basketball game here in a couple of days in the tournament and get a chance to watch Colorado State and see what the Rams get to do. And then, one day, we'll find out whether Ali may become the head coach of CSU in the next couple of days. So that's a lot of fun. So we are back tomorrow on a Wednesday, Thursday live at Resorts World, Friday live at Resorts World. We'll have games to talk about. Let's see if Carolina embarrasses themselves tonight, because if they do, oh my gosh, the media coverage tomorrow is going to be something
Under again in the baseball
else.
too, by the way.
Under again?
Yeah, another one.
Bet it and forget it.
That's it.
Just wake up to a cash ticket.
Wake up to the money.
Wake up to a cash ticket. All right. Not bad. He's Dave. I'm Matt. Thanks to Ali Farouk Manesh. Thanks to Eli Hershkovich. Last name central today, man. We went well. We had a last name for the ages today with these two, with Eli and Ali, both of them with easy first names, not so much on the last names.
Damn.
Back tomorrow for our Wednesdays, Bostonian versus the book.